My phone buzzed on the table. I looked at it without moving. Another buzz. I picked it up slowly, already tired, already tense, already expecting nothing good. The message was short. No greeting. No emotion. Just words. I want a divorce. That was it. I read it again. I want a divorce. No call. No explanation. No warning. My throat tightened and I whispered, "What?" I typed back. "Is this a joke?" The typing dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. No. I stood up so fast the chair fell behind me. What did I do? I typed. Did something happen? Minutes passed. I stared at the screen like it might explain itself. Finally, another message came. "This isn't working anymore." I laughed once, sharp and ugly. "Working? We're married, not a project." No reply. I walked across the room, phone pressed to my ear, and called her. Rang. Straight to voicemail. "Answer," I muttered. "Please answer." Nothing. I sent another message. "At least talk to me." She replied after a long pause. "There's nothing to talk about." My hands started shaking. "You don't end a marriage like this." She answered, "I just did." I slid down onto the couch. My chest felt heavy, like someone was sitting on it. "Since when?" I asked. "Since when did you feel this way?" The reply came fast. Too fast. "For a while." That word hit harder than the divorce. "A while?" I typed. "How long is a while?" She didn't answer. I remembered nights when she worked late and said, "Just one more hour." I remembered mornings when she barely looked at me and said, "I'm busy." I remembered asking, "Are we okay?" and her saying, "Of course." I typed, "You said you were happy." She replied, "People change." I clenched my jaw. "I changed my whole life for you." No response. I kept typing anyway. "I quit my job so you could build the company. I moved cities. I stood behind you when no one believed in you." Her next message felt colder. "I never asked you to do that." I stared at the words. "You didn't have to ask," I typed. "You were my wife." She replied, "And now I don't want to be." I felt something break inside me. "Is there someone else?" 3 dots appeared. Stayed. Then disappeared. That was my answer. "So this is planned?" I typed. "You didn't just wake up today and decide this." She replied, "Please don't make this harder." I laughed again, louder this time. "Harder?" I typed. "You texted me a divorce like a delivery update." She didn't respond. I called again. Voicemail. I sent one last message. "Did you ever love me?" Minutes passed. Then one sentence arrived. "I did." Did. Past tense. I dropped the phone onto the table and covered my face with my hands. My mind raced backward, connecting moments I ignored. The silence. The distance. The way she stopped asking for my opinion. The way meetings mattered more than meals. This wasn't sudden. This was prepared. I picked up the phone again. "When were you going to tell me?" I typed. Her reply was final. "I just did." I leaned back and stared at the ceiling. My marriage didn't end with a fight or a goodbye. It ended with a text message she had probably typed without stopping. And that's when I understood something that made my stomach turn. She didn't leave me today. She left me a long time ago. She agreed to meet me the next morning. Not at home. Not anywhere personal. Her office. I stood in front of the glass building, staring up at it like it belonged to someone else. When I walked inside, the receptionist smiled politely and said, "Do you have an appointment?" "I'm her husband," I said. The smile faded. "She's expecting you." That hurt more than it should have. I was led into a conference room. Cold table. Cold chairs. Cold light. She walked in 10 minutes later, phone in hand, heels clicking like a countdown. "You're late," I said. "I had a meeting," she replied, sitting across from me. I looked at her face, searching for something familiar. "So this is how we talk now?" She sighed. "Please don't make this emotional." I laughed softly. "I think it's a little late for that." She folded her hands. "I've made my decision." "You made it alone," I said. "Like everything else lately." She met my eyes. "I outgrew this marriage." I leaned forward. "Outgrew me?" She didn't answer directly. "You don't fit into my life anymore." I swallowed. "Since when am I a bad fit?" "You're comfortable," she said. "I need more than comfort." I nodded slowly. "You mean power?" She stiffened. "You're being unfair." "Am I?" I asked. "Because last time I checked, I was the one who sat with you in empty offices and said, 'You're going to be big someday.'" "That was before," she replied. Before what? I asked. Before you needed me? Her jaw tightened. I don't want to argue. You don't want to explain, I corrected. She stood up and walked to the window. This marriage became a liability. That word echoed in my head. A liability? Yes, she said. People talk. Investors ask questions. About me? I asked. About us, she replied. They don't see you as necessary. I stood too. So I'm bad for your image now? She turned around. You don't have ambition anymore. I stared at her. I gave you mine. She shook her head. You chose that. I chose you, I said. There's a difference. She looked away. This is exactly why it won't work. Because I believed in us? I asked. Because you're emotional, she said. I laughed. You're divorcing your husband and I'm the emotional one? Her phone buzzed. She checked it immediately. I noticed the name on the screen. Her business partner. You don't even hide it, I said. She locked the phone. This isn't about him. It's about control, I said. And you think you've already won. She stepped closer. I'm offering you a clean exit. By text. I asked. She didn't respond. I lowered my voice. Did you ever plan to tell me before the papers? She hesitated. Just for a second. That was enough. So you already talked to a lawyer, I said. Yes, she admitted. And me? I asked. When was I supposed to matter? She exhaled sharply. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I nodded. You keep saying that. I pulled a chair back and sat down again. What do you want from me now? She slid a folder across the table. Sign the temporary separation. I looked at it but didn't open it. You really practiced this. I had to be prepared, she said. For war, I replied. Her voice softened slightly. I don't want to hurt you. You already did, I said. You just don't want to see it. She looked at me like I was something she'd already let go of. This is the best outcome for both of us. For you, I said. She checked her watch. I have another meeting. Of course she did. I stood, hands shaking but my voice steady. One last question. She paused. Was I ever your partner, I asked, or just your stepping stone? She didn't answer. That silence told me everything. As I walked out of the room, I realized something that made my chest ache. She didn't erase me by accident. She removed me on purpose. I packed my things that night. She wasn't there. Of course she wasn't. The apartment felt staged like a model home where no one actually lived. I opened the closet and said out loud, "You could have at least been honest." Silence answered me. My phone rang. My sister's name lit up the screen. "Tell me you're not alone," she said the second I answered. "I'm fine," I replied. "That's not an answer," she said. "Did she really do it?" "Yes." "By text?" she asked. "Yes." She cursed under her breath. "I'm coming over." "You don't have to," I said. "I'm already outside." I sat on the edge of the bed when she walked in. She looked around and asked, "Where is she?" "At work," I said. "Where else?" My sister crossed her arms. "Say it again." Slowly. "She left me," I said, "because I'm bad for business." Her eyes filled with anger. "You built that business." "I helped," I corrected. "No," she snapped. "You carried it." I shook my head. "It doesn't matter anymore." "It matters to me," she said. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know," I admitted. She sat beside me. "You can't disappear." "I already have," I said. After she left, I drove aimlessly until I ended up outside my old mentor's office. I didn't plan it. My hands just turned the wheel. He looked surprised when he saw me. "You look exhausted." "I am," I said. He poured coffee and asked, "What happened?" "She wants a divorce," I said. He didn't react. That scared me. I was wondering when. "You knew?" I asked. "I suspected," he replied. "Power changes people. Silence kills men." I stared at the floor. I stayed quiet to support her. "And she learned you wouldn't fight," he said. I left his office feeling smaller than when I arrived. The next day I checked the company website. My name was gone. No title. No advisory role. Nothing. I called my best friend immediately. "Did you know about this?" There was a pause. "About what?" "My name being removed," I said. Another pause. Longer this time. "Things change," he said carefully. "So you knew," I said. "I didn't think it was my place," he replied. I laughed without humor. "Was it your place to stay silent?" You should move on, he said. I hung up without saying goodbye. That night, I scrolled through old messages between me and my wife. Late nights. Encouragement. Promises. I typed one last message. When did you stop needing me? She replied hours later. This isn't about need. It is, I typed. You just replaced me. No response. I met her assistant the following afternoon by accident in the lobby. She froze when she saw me. You don't work here anymore, she blurted out. I smiled sadly. Neither do I, apparently. She looked uncomfortable. I'm sorry. Since when? I asked. She hesitated. Before the text. That confirmed it. I went home and sat in the dark. I replayed every moment I ignored. Every excuse I made for her distance. Every time I chose patience over confrontation. I whispered, I helped build a woman who learned how to live without me. My phone buzzed again. My wife. Finally. We need to talk logistics, she wrote. Not feelings. Not closure. Logistics. I typed back, you planned this. Yes, she replied. I had to. For how long? I asked. She didn't answer. That silence felt heavier than the truth. I realized something then. She didn't fall out of love. She upgraded. And I was the cost she calculated and accepted. I leaned back and closed my eyes. The man I helped build her into had vanished. And so had the man I used to be. I didn't reply to her message. For the first time since that text, I let the screen go dark without answering. My phone buzzed again an hour later. We need to settle this quickly, she wrote. Quickly. Like erasing me was just another task on her schedule. I put the phone face down and said to the empty room, no. The next morning my sister called. Did you respond? No, I said. Good, she replied. What's your plan? I don't have one, I said. And that scares me less than it should. She stayed quiet for a moment. That doesn't sound like you. I'm tired of explaining myself, I said. I'm tired of proving my worth to people who already decided it. Later that day I met the divorce lawyer she recommended. That alone felt like a joke. He flipped through the documents and said, you're entitled to more. I don't want it, I replied. He looked up. You're sure? Yes, I said. I want out clean. Most people fight, he said. I'm not most people, I replied. He leaned back. Then you should understand something. What? I asked. Walking away doesn't mean you lost, he said. It just means you chose a different kind of power. That sentence stayed with me. When I left the office, my phone rang again. Her name. I answered this time. What? I heard you met the lawyer, she said. You heard fast, I replied. I don't want this to turn ugly, she said. I laughed quietly. You already turned it into something else. Don't do anything emotional, she warned. I'm not, I said. That's the point. She hesitated. What does that mean? It means I'm not fighting you, I said. I'm letting you go. That unsettled her. I could hear it in her silence. You can't just disappear, she said. Watch me, I replied. I hung up before she could answer. That night, I met someone I hadn't spoken to in years. My old college rival. The guy I used to compete with in every class. He raised an eyebrow when he saw me. Didn't expect you to call. I didn't expect my life to fall apart either, I said. He smirked. Fair. We talked about nothing at first. Then everything. She's brilliant, I said. But reckless. He leaned forward. That company moves too fast. You've noticed? I asked. He nodded. Numbers don't lie. People do. I didn't respond. I didn't have to. He studied me for a moment. You look calm. I'm not, I said. I'm controlled. He smiled slightly. That's more dangerous. When I got home, I opened my laptop and stared at old files I never deleted. Projections. Early strategies. Backup plans she never read. I whispered, I'm not angry anymore. That surprised me. I wasn't plotting revenge. I wasn't dreaming of apologies. I was done chasing. My phone buzzed again. Her message read, You're being quiet. I typed back, I'm thinking. She replied, About what? I stared at the screen before answering. About who I am without you. No reply came. For the first time since the divorce text, I slept through the night. In the morning, I woke up with a strange clarity. I looked at myself in the mirror and said, I won't beg. I won't explain. I won't save you from yourself. This wasn't surrender. This was restraint. And I knew something she didn't. The moment I stopped reacting was the moment the balance shifted. She just hadn't felt it yet. The investor contacted me 3 days later. Not by accident. Not casually. He called my private number. "I hope this isn't inappropriate," he said. "It depends," I replied. "On what you're about to ask." He paused. "I didn't know she cut you out completely." "She didn't cut me out," I said. "She erased me." "That's concerning," he replied. We met that evening in a quiet restaurant. He didn't waste time. "You were involved early," he said. "Before the growth." "Before the shortcuts," I replied. He studied my face. "Then you know where the bodies are buried." I shook my head. "I know where the paperwork is." That made him smile. He slid a folder across the table. "These numbers don't add up." I flipped through it slowly. "They weren't meant to." "Can you explain them?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "But I won't interpret them for you." He raised an eyebrow. "Why not?" "Because truth doesn't need a lawyer," I replied. "It just needs patience." Later that night, her assistant messaged me. "I shouldn't be doing this," she wrote. "Then don't," I replied. A minute passed. Then another message arrived. "They're panicking." I typed, "Who?" "The board," she replied. "And her." I stared at the screen. "About what?" "An audit," she wrote. "An internal one." I didn't celebrate. I didn't smile. I asked, "Did she know it was coming?" "Yes," she replied. "She thought she could control it." I typed slowly. "She always does." The next morning my wife called. I let it ring. She called again. I answered on the third attempt. "What? Why is an investor asking about old projections?" she demanded. I kept my voice calm. "Because they exist." "You're talking to them," she said. "They called me," I replied. "Funny how that happens." She inhaled sharply. "You promised not to interfere." "I promised not to fight," I said. "I didn't promise to lie." She lowered her voice. "You're crossing a line." I leaned back. "You erased me. You don't get to draw lines anymore." Silence. Then she said, "Do you want something?" "No," I replied. "That's the problem for you, isn't it?" She hung up. That afternoon my college rival called. "You seeing this?" "Yes," I said. "Good," he replied. "Because it's worse than I thought." "Define worse," I said. "Debt hidden as growth," he replied. "Promises made without coverage." I closed my eyes. "She moved too fast." "She always does," he said. I whispered, "I warned her." "She stopped listening to you," he replied. That's when it started. That night my best friend showed up unannounced. "You're destroying her," he said. I looked at him. "I haven't done anything." "You know what you're doing?" he snapped. "No," I said. "I know what I stopped doing." He clenched his fists. "You're bitter?" I stepped closer. "You knew, didn't you?" He looked away. "That's what I thought," I said. "Get out." "She'll never forgive you," he warned. "I didn't ask her to," I replied. After he left, I sat alone and opened an old email chain. Early warnings. Risk notes. Suggestions she ignored. I forwarded nothing. I deleted nothing. I simply waited. The board meeting happened without me. But my name came up anyway. Her assistant messaged again. "She's losing control of the room." I typed back, "She hates that." "Yes," she replied. "She keeps asking why you're so quiet." I stared at the message before answering. Because silence lets people hear themselves. That evening my wife texted me. "Can we talk?" she wrote. I replied, "About logistics?" "No," she wrote. "About us." I hesitated. Then typed, "There is no us." Minutes passed. Then, "You're enjoying this?" I answered honestly, "No. I'm accepting it." She didn't reply. I looked out the window as the city lights came on. Somewhere in one of those buildings she was fighting battles she thought she already won. I wasn't her enemy. I was just no longer her shield. And for the first time, the truth didn't need my protection. It was walking on its own. My phone buzzed again. Her name. I didn't answer. She called instead. "Why aren't you responding?" "I'm observing," I said calmly. "Observing?" she repeated. "What does that mean?" "It means," I replied, "I stopped reacting." There was a pause. I could almost hear her frustration. "You think you're winning?" I said, "You're losing." "You're impossible," she snapped. "I'm realistic," I said. "You built a tower but you forgot the foundation." "Enough riddles," she said. "Talk straight." I leaned back in my chair. "I will." You're panicking because the board is asking questions, investors are double-checking numbers, and suddenly the empire isn't so solid. Her silence spoke louder than words. Finally she hissed, "You're not supposed to know that." "I know enough," I said. "Because you didn't need me but I still left traces." She groaned. "You're enjoying this." "I'm not," I said. "I'm calm. That's all." Her assistant messaged me an hour later. "She's yelling at the office. She's out of control." I typed back, "Good?" By evening she called again. "Stop involving people." I smiled faintly. "I haven't involved anyone. People notice themselves." Her voice dropped. "You're going to ruin me." "You already tried," I said. "I just stopped helping." She was quiet. Finally she said, "You were supposed to be loyal." "And loyal I was," I replied. "Too loyal. That's why you left me." "Why are you doing this?" she asked, almost whispering. "Because I don't need to explain myself," I said. "You wanted to erase me. Fine. I erased myself from your problems." Her phone buzzed repeatedly but she didn't answer. I knew what it was: investors, lawyers, whispers of chaos. She had built a throne and now the cracks were visible. "You're cruel," she muttered. "I'm careful," I said. "There's a difference." She hung up. I didn't call back. I went to my sister's apartment that night. "She's losing control," I said, voice low. "She thought she could manipulate everything, everyone." She looked at me sharply. "And you?" "I'm still me," I said. "I just stopped being hers." "You sound different," she said. "Calm." "I'm beyond calm," I replied. "I'm steady. I'm invisible but present." Later, my former mentor called. "I heard about her performance," he said. "Board meetings, investor panic." "I'm watching," I said. "Quietly?" he asked. "Loudly in results, silently in presence," I said. He chuckled. "That's dangerous." "Exactly," I said. The next morning her assistant reached out again. "She's trying to regain control. But people aren't following her lead." I typed, "Patience always beats force." "She's asking why you're not helping," the assistant wrote. "Because I'm done," I replied. By noon my wife called herself. Her voice was tight-clipped. "You think this is over?" "It's just starting," I said calmly. "You can't let me fail," she said. "I built this." "And you can lose it," I replied. "Because I stopped being your crutch." Her breathing was audible. I stayed silent, letting her feel the gap I created. The silence pressed harder than any words. "I never realized you were capable of this," she said finally. I let a smirk show. "You didn't need me to realize it. You just needed me to stop fighting." She hung up. Again. I stared at my phone. The cracks were spreading. She didn't need my help, but my absence was breaking her control. Later that evening, I sent one message to her assistant. "She'll learn." Slowly. And painfully. By the time I put my phone down, I understood fully. I wasn't seeking revenge. I wasn't celebrating. I was watching the throne crumble from the only place I needed to be, outside it, untouched, unshaken, and finally free. My phone rang before sunrise. It was her. I didn't answer. She texted instead, "We need to talk. Now." I typed back slowly, "About what?" "About us," she replied. I laughed quietly. "There is no us." Silence followed. Then a new message, "You're enjoying this too much." "No," I typed. "I'm accepting it." Hours later she called again. This time I picked up. "What do you want?" I asked. I made a mistake," she said, voice tight, brittle. I didn't respond. I just listened. "I underestimated you," she whispered. "I didn't think you'd." "You'd what?" I asked. "Disappear quietly and watch everything collapse?" "Yes," she admitted. "I thought you'd beg. I thought you'd fight me like before. I thought I could control you." I exhaled. "You miscalculated." Her voice broke. "I never imagined losing control. Everything's falling apart. The board, the investors, they're questioning me." "You're realizing what it's like when loyalty isn't blind," I said softly. "I thought we were partners," she said, almost pleading. "You were partners with my patience," I replied. "Not me." She was quiet. I could hear her breathing, sharp and shallow. "Do you want me back?" I asked, almost mocking. "No," she shouted. I don't deserve you. I made my choice." "Exactly," I said. "You made your choice. And now you face the consequences." There was another long silence. Finally she whispered, "I'm sorry." I shouldn't have left you like that. I know, I said. And it's too late. Sorry doesn't fix a calculated erasure. Her voice trembled. I thought I was untouchable. You weren't, I replied. You just didn't expect someone could step back quietly and let the truth catch up. She sighed. I don't know how to fix this. Some things can't be fixed, I said. Not by you, not by me. Another silence. Then, you're stronger than I thought. I've always been strong, I said. You just never gave me reason to show it. Her next message, I see now. And I regret everything. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Later the assistant called me. She's asking for advice. She's desperate. I'm not giving her any, I said. She lost that right. She still looks for your approval, the assistant said. That's because she still thinks I care about it, I replied. She doesn't. That's the difference. The day dragged on. I stayed quiet. I didn't intervene. I let the consequences unfold. By evening, her calls became frantic, texts constant. Each one a reminder that her empire wasn't built as solidly as she thought. Finally, I received a single text from her. Can we meet? I typed back slowly, no. Then I added, this is your lesson, not mine. I shut my phone. I sat in the dark, thinking of the woman I loved, and the one who had betrayed me. She wasn't asking for forgiveness. She wasn't asking for understanding. She was asking for control, something she no longer had. The irony wasn't lost on me. Later that night, I walked past her building on my way home. I saw her lights on, office empty of the usual energy, her shoulders hunched over her desk, staring at documents I knew she'd once counted on me to protect. I whispered to myself, you wanted to rewrite me. You forgot I wasn't the story you could edit. And I realized something peaceful, terrifying, and liberating all at once. I had survived. I had stayed silent when she expected noise. I had stayed invisible when she expected chaos. I had let her fall, not by my hand but by the truths she had ignored. Her regret sounded different when it was too late. I smiled faintly, almost kindly. You'll learn, I whispered. You always do, eventually. And I walked away lighter than I had felt in years, finally untethered from a life I had tried to save alone. The divorce papers arrived in the mail. I didn't open them immediately. I set them on the table and sat in silence. My phone buzzed. Her name. I ignored it. An hour later she texted, please sign. Don't make this harder. I typed back, I've already made it simple. The next day I met with the lawyer. I'll sign, I said, placing my signature carefully. Clean final. That's it, he asked. That's it, I said. As I walked out of the office I felt lighter than I had in years. No revenge. No anger. Just calm. I called my sister. It's done, I said. She laughed. You finally feel free, don't you? I do, I said. And not because of her. Because of me. I walked past the cafe where we used to meet. Memories hit me but they didn't sting. I whispered, I let go. Later her assistant sent one last message. She's asking about you. I typed back simply, I'm not her concern anymore. My phone buzzed again. A new message, you've changed. Yes, I replied. I've learned. For the first time, I didn't wonder if she would come back or try to manipulate me. The past was the past. I sat on my balcony that evening. The city lights stretched endlessly. I thought of the man I used to be, loyal, quiet, consumed by her ambition. I whispered, he's gone. I opened my laptop and started writing. Not business strategies, not projections. My thoughts, my rules, my truth. A text arrived, can we talk? I didn't reply. Instead I smiled. For the first time it was genuine. I walked through the city streets alone, feeling the weight lift from my shoulders. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't angry. I wasn't broken. I passed a bookstore and noticed the title, Building Yourself After Loss. I laughed softly. Funny, I said to myself. I built myself, not her. Later I met an old friend for dinner. You seem different, he said. I am, I replied. I stopped being defined by someone else's choices. We laughed. We talked. And for the first time in months I felt a spark of hope. Not for revenge, not for love, but for me. My phone buzzed again. A message from her, I regret everything. I stared at it. Then typed one word, goodbye. I set the phone down and leaned back. Silence. Clarity. The man who once lost himself in love and loyalty had returned, but stronger, wiser, untouchable by betrayal. I whispered to the empty apartment, I'm whole now. And I don't need anyone to complete me. The night grew quiet. The city moved on. So did I. I wasn't chasing her, fixing her, or forgiving her. I was living, finally, fully and entirely free. For the first time I realized, some losses are blessings in disguise and some endings are the truest beginnings. I smiled. I walked to my window, letting the cool breeze wash over me. The lights of the city reflected in my eyes, not as a reminder of what I'd lost, but of what I'd found, myself. And in that moment I knew, nothing could shake me again. I was whole.